Flosstube friends, this is Kate from Kate's Crafting Corner. It is Saturday, June 19th, and I am here with another update. Round 2 of the UEFA Euros 2020 has just concluded. Sorry, I'm going to take these off because there's like a reflection or something. I don't know, it's annoying me. So you might wonder why it is the Euros 2020, even though we're in 2021, and that's because this competition was originally scheduled for 2020, but due to the pandemic, it was postponed for a year. So it's still officially called the Euro 2020 because the next one will be in 4 years, Euro 2024. So, sorry, 3 years from now, 4 years from when it was supposed to be. So, they kept the name Euro 2020. It's on all of the advertisement and everything for it that it's Euro 2020. So, I'm not calling it by the wrong year. It's what it is. So, anyways, literally, like 15 minutes ago, the last match of this round concluded, and boy, were things exciting this time around, but I will get into that at the end of this video. I was about to, but I'm going to reel myself in, and I will get into that at the end of the video, so those of you who have no interest in my soccer-obsessed ramblings don't have to watch. And if I ever talk about anything regarding soccer that you don't understand because you don't watch it, or you're just curious, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, and I am happy to answer any and all soccer related questions. I am obsessed with it, and I have been loving this past week and a half, 2 weeks, I don't know. Loving it. So much excitement, so much drama, heartbreak, surprises, just all kinds of things. So if you're interested, I will have information at the end. I will try to insert some pictures and possibly a few short video clips and things like that, so that if you want to experience some of the joy and fun, you can do that. But for now, let's get into the crafts. Because it hasn't been that long since I talked to you guys last, I have not worked on much. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my Around the World in 80 Stitches piece. And I have finished the whole of part 1, which is both of these hearts. So last time I had just started on this heart with the red flowers. These flowers are called Lindisfarnes. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that, but I loved doing them so much. The blue are Scotch Stitches, and Lazy Daisies Ray Stitches. So, this one I feel like had less specialty stitches than this side, but that's just because these flowers are so huge. I have moved it and started very little stitching on, these are going to be 2 tulips, so one that way and then there will be this one. This was all stitched in one game. No, I didn't stitch on this piece today, so it wasn't Germany's game. I believe it was Denmark's game, and there was probably like 3 games where I got 0 crafting done because I was so invested on watching the outcomes of those games. And you know, that's all part of crafting during sporting events. Sometimes you get a lot of stitching done, and sometimes you get almost nothing done. So I was also happy to stop here because my first attempt on part 2 has some hardanger. In my first attempt of this piece, I stitched it in black because I had light fabric and I just thought it would stand out more. Now that I am here, I do not know whether to do it. Actually, that's upside down. Oops. Not that it's a big deal. But now that I have reached this same part over here. I am now conflicted about whether I should do it in white like it's originally called for or do it in black. So I've pulled out both white and black, and I thought I would ask you guys for your opinions down below. So if you'll leave it in the comment section, I would really appreciate that, so that, because I honestly don't know what direction to go on. Because this fabric is so much darker than the antique white that white doesn't blend in all the way, but the dark is still so dramatic. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Should I go with white for Hardanger, which is traditional, how traditional Hardanger is, or should I go with black? So please, please, please do let me know. I really have no clue. My husband would not have any idea, so there's no point in asking him. And yeah, so you're my tribe, and I'm going to you for some help. So, yeah, I'm on part 2. I thought it would be fun to write down each of the parts in the countries that are visited and the stitches that are there. So in part 1, it started in England, and we had the Norwich stitch, the Berwick stitch, and the Lindisfarne stitch, which is also called the Wessex stitch. And then we went over to Scotland and did the Scotch stitch. Part 2, we're in Scandinavia. So we've got Denmark with the Danish knot. Then we've got Norway, which is where Hardanger originated. And then we've got Sweden with the Swedish split stitch. And then we do actually cross over to Russia and do the Mordvinian star stitch. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but anyways. So 4 more countries to visit, 4 more specialty stitches. I'm super excited. I'm really enjoying working on specialty stitches. I had originally intended on putting this on my lap stand to work on, but then I find for me it's harder to anchor my floss with specialty stitches because you're not always doing X's, so it's hard to get it like fully anchored properly. And so I frequently have to run my tail under a couple other stitches to get it really snug in, and then you change frequently, and so I just didn't want to keep flipping my stand. It's harder to do than when I have it in my Q-snap, so that's why it's not actually on a frame. Forgot to refill my tea. The only other well, I worked a little bit on the quilt, which is not going to get done by my anniversary, and I've already told my husband that I'm not going to have his present done on our anniversary. I will wrap the box I have it in and just give it to him. He doesn't know that it's a quilt. He might have guessed though, but I don't know. But that is because he keeps coming in. He keeps coming into the room, which means I cannot work on it when he keeps coming in because I never know when he's going to show up. Plus, a few times he's walked in with the fabric laying all about on my desk, and so I told him not to come in, but he came in, so it is what it is. Anyways, so I don't have like real big updates to show you on that, so I'll hold off on that till another time. So the only other one I have to show is the sock for my nephew, which I am also making during games. And this is the only thing I worked on today during games because, well, during the first game of the day, I was multitasking while watching it. We were doing a Father's Day Zoom call with my dad, and that was a lot of fun, so I had the game on. Sorry. I had the game on mute on my tablet and my computer right there, so I was watching at it, but not like as focused as I have been normally. And then I could not craft during Germany's game. It just was not possible. So the only other time that I crafted was the last game of the day. So I can hear my husband talking to the dogs. Sorry, it's distracting. Anyways. And so I finished the leg of my nephew's sock. I think I mentioned that my sister said he might enjoy some soccer length socks. So I had her measure his knee to his ankle, and that was 10 inches. So this is 10 inches, which is far more than I've ever knit. It's 120 rows. But so I finished it, so now I can start the heel, and luckily his foot is a lot shorter, so I hope to finish this during this round. But we will see. I'm for sure going to finish it by the end of the month, but I'm really happy with how it looks and how it's turned out. And, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm sorry if you can hear the air conditioning and fans. The last couple of days it's been 108 degrees here in Northern California, and today it's like 103 so far, and each day that it's over 100 it just feels hotter because the temperature isn't coming down during the night, and so it's just really hot. Yeah, it's really hot. And in a little bit, we have to go run some errands, so I was just trying to squeeze this video in. But yeah, so it's going to be a shorter one than the last time. So let's talk about the matches. So if you were only here for the crafting, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys soon, in less than a week. So have a great stitchy weekend. Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there, and I'll talk to you guys later. Now, if you are interested in the UEFA Euros 2020 and all the excitement surrounding it, because there's a lot, and there's a lot of drama, I am here with your report. Group A, which is Turkey, Italy, Wales, and Switzerland. They have their first team to qualify to the round of 16. So, in this tournament, there are 6 groups made up of 4 countries. The top 2 of each group automatically goes on to the next round, the knockout stages. 4 of the 6 third-place teams will also go through, and which 4 it is depends on, I believe, points and then goal differentials, but I could be wrong. But I think that's how they're deciding the 4 that go on. So points matter, goal differentials matter, it all matters. So hang on, I will be back. Hey guys, okay, I'm back. So my husband came in to tell me that the dogs had apparently gotten into one of his boxes that had a couple masks in it, that M95 masks that we got like way long ago, and destroyed them. So, whatever. We haven't worn them in ages. They were very suffocating for me. As I have asthma, it's hard for me to wear masks to begin with, much less those N95s. It was very difficult to breathe in. So, when we changed to cloth masks, that was a little bit easier. I know not as safe, but easier to breathe, and I hardly go out in public, so it's fine. Anyways, so while I had it paused, I got more of my cold brew tea, and then I had to make a new batch because it has to brew in the fridge for like 24 hours, so I needed to get it going. So back to about the Euros. Group A, made up of Turkey, Italy, Wales, and Switzerland. And this one had an interesting game. So, going into the tournament, apparently Turkey were considered a dark horse to possibly win the tournament. I didn't realize that, which is why they are number 4 in the rankings on my prediction. And turns out I could very well be right, and all the people who said they were a dark horse could be wrong. So with the matches played in this last round, Italy have already qualified onto the round of 16. They won 2 games, which means they have 6 points, and there isn't a mathematical way that they can be knocked out of this tournament. Even if they just can't get lower than second place in their group. They could still end up being the second place team, but they can't get lower than that points wise. So Italy have already qualified, and in several of the groups there is a case where a team has qualified. So I will let you know who and what. George, no. He smells, I think, some crackers, which have been there for like a month, and he's only just noticing them. But anyways, so there were 2 matches in this group, Turkey versus Wales. And a lot of people expected Turkey to win this game, but Wales won 0-2, and it was a deserved victory in my opinion. It was a very fun game to watch. I really enjoyed that. I was rooting for Wales, so I was super happy when they won. And yeah, it was 0 for Turkey, 2 for Wales. Then Italy played Switzerland, and Italy won 3-0. They've actually not conceded a goal yet in this tournament. So they have 6 points. They've scored 6, and they have conceded 0. They're for sure on to the next round. And based off their performances so far, and admittedly they do have a pretty easy group, but I could see them as contenders for the for winning the whole tournament. We will see how things shape up further into the tournament, as when you get to the knockout round, each match, if you win, you go through. If you lose, you're done. And there is no ties. So that changes the way that you play, because you can't play for a draw, which is what a tie is called. It's called a draw. You can't play for that like you can in the group rankings, because 1 point is usually good. It's good enough to get you something. Several games have been played so far where the underdog team was definitely going for a draw. I would say to a certain extent Germany might have been going for a draw against France in the first round, as France were so much the favorites that conceding as few goals as possible is important to progressing further in. Oh, a better example, Sweden and Spain. Sweden were for sure going for a draw. They had, I think I just heard, 19% possession, maybe as low as 15%. I actually had thought that they were in the high 20%, which is still not great, but no, they were way lower than that. And it's obvious when your possession is that low that you are just trying to keep them from scoring. And that is a strategy, and in my opinion it's a valid strategy. You're not, going in that you're not necessarily gonna win, and so coming out with a single point, because when you draw, each team gets 1 point. So like I said, it's better than 0 because you've lost. So I understand why it's a strategy some teams go for. Several have done it, and then they hope to get points in other matches. But like I said, so there is still 2 more matches. And okay, the way that the third round, sorry, I'm all over the place. Because I don't want anyone who watches who hasn't watched soccer or understand the tournament style to be confused about what I'm trying to explain. So I'm trying to give more information than I probably need to. But in the third round of the group stages, both games are played at the same time. So for Group A, Switzerland versus Turkey and Italy versus Wales will be played at the same time. And the reason for this is that frequently, well, I mean, I think in all the groups even, there's like a little war going on. Hey, hey, hey! Anyways, like I was saying, frequently the standings in the group and even who is going to be eliminated can depend on that final game. And so to make sure that no team has an advantage. Hey, I don't like when you guys play like that. It's Gracie. Come say hi, Grace. She's had her summer cut. Oh, look at you, pretty girl. Yes, you are a pretty girl. To make sure no team has an advantage over another team, they play both of the games at the same time so that you can't know that another team won and therefore you only need to get a draw in order to go ahead or anything like that. So it's a pretty good concept. It just means that you kind of only can watch one game without knowing what the results are, because the commentators always tell you blah 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 just scored a goal in the other match. So I mean, I usually always go and watch those other matches anyways, but I know the score ahead of time, so there is that. But so because of that, we are done with 6 a.m. matches, which I am super excited about. But some days there are 4 matches because 2 groups will have their matches that day. And so there's still a lot of matches to be watched, but I don't have to wake up as early. And when I do wake up as early as I have been, I tend to fall asleep by like 6 p.m., which is what I did last night, and then I woke up at 2 a.m., so my sleep schedule is super messed up. But anyway, so I'm really excited to move on to the next phase of this tournament. The other thing I wanted to let you guys know is that there are only going to be matches for the next 4 days, and then there's no matches for 2 days. So the group stages will end on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday there are no matches, and then the next set of elimination matches start on Saturday. So I will not be posting a video probably on the day that the tournament ends. The group stages end, because I'll probably still need to be doing a little bit of catch up for matches that I wasn't able to watch live. And then also I might get in a little bit of crafting on other projects that aren't related to my tournament pieces. And then most important, which I probably should mention first, is that the final day of the group stages is my anniversary. So I'm hoping to be able to watch the Germany game, because that is on that. And frequently my husband has not bought my present or flowers or a card by the day of events like Christmas or anniversaries or birthdays. And so I usually have a good portion of the day to myself as he is scrambling trying to go buy cards and flowers. So hopefully I'll get to watch Germany, but spending time with him is my top priority. That's probably true. Maybe he'll watch the game with me, and then it's a win-win. Hi, Gracie. Hello. She's normally abandoned me at this point. Yes, you have normally. I love you. So let's move on to Group B, because I've rambled way more than I was anticipating. Okay, go ahead. Go on. Group B is Denmark, Finland, Belgium, and Russia. And this is where things get interesting. Now, if you watched the section in my last video, you might recall that I talked about in the Denmark-Finland game, the player Christian Eriksen had cardiac arrest on the pitch. I'm still very upset with UEFA about how everything went down but there is some good news to impart. Christian Eriksen has been released from the hospital. He made a surprise visit to his team at their training grounds before going home to recuperate, which is great. That means he was in the hospital for less than a week before being released. He was released on Friday. I'm also going to put in here some pictures of the outpouring of love and support that he has received in Denmark, well, and around the world, to be honest. So in Denmark, people were obviously really upset about this. It hit really close to home. And so one person, they had this graffiti wall, I think in a fan zone, but I'm not positive about that, where the wall is located. But someone recognized the need of people to express their concern and their love for this player. And so they turned the graffiti wall into a support wall, basically, where people have been able to go and leave messages for the player. And I think that's really awesome. The next match that Denmark had was versus Belgium. And that match was about a mile away from the hospital where the player was recuperating. Apparently he was even allowed to watch the game, which seems weird to me because I would feel like that might increase their anxiety, and when you're recuperating from like a heart condition, I would think that they wouldn't want that. But apparently he watched the match, and it's surmised that he was probably able to hear fans supporting him and applauding for him. There were several really cool things that happened in that match. For one thing, at the start of every match, the captains exchanged flags, and the Belgium team had all signed one of his jerseys and presented that as part of their flag exchange, and I think that's really cool, and I hope I found a picture to insert. Another thing is that at minute 10 of the match, which is his player, he was player jersey number 10, the ball was kicked out of play for a minute so that fans and players and referees were all able to applaud him for a minute. I didn't read if he was able to, but commentators were guessing that he could probably hear that from his hospital bed, and I think that's really, really cool. It's a cool show of support that both teams agreed to this, and there wasn't any penalty for time wasting or anything like that can happen in competitions. The other really cool thing in that match is that Denmark actually scored first. They scored, I believe, in minute 2. It was almost right away. And unfortunately, Belgium went on to score 2 more goals. But in my opinion, Denmark played better. Belgium is ranked the #1 team in the world right now, and their play did not reflect that at all. Denmark created 21 shots. Like, they shot the ball 21 times. Belgium did it 6. I mean, 21-6. I just think that Denmark played so much better. They deserved a win, and it is really unfortunate that they didn't get that. That they did go on to concede 2 goals. Additionally, can't remember if this is the match where I felt like there was a penalty given that wasn't, like, for a handball, that wasn't a handball. There was like 2 calls like that during this round where I felt like the VAR, video assistant referee, maybe, I'm not sure if that's what the acronym stands for, but it's like the video replays. And then the referee can go and review what the VAR spotted and stuff like that. Well, anyways, there was 2 instances in this round that I and the commentators I was watching think that the VAR got it wrong. And they were both for handballs. And the rule was recently changed regarding handballs that if your hand is in a natural position, then you're not penalized for a handball. And so in the first case, the player was jumping up and shielding his face, which is apparently allowed, and then the ball hit it and a penalty was given. And so I think that was this match, but I could be wrong. But that really sucked. And then this just continues with the whole fact that UEFA made them play that game on 90 minutes later. 90 minutes after their player collapsed, they were still forced to go out there and play that game against what should have been the easiest team in their group. Instead, because their heads were clearly not in the right space, they conceded a goal. They lost. They got 0 points. They go on to they go on to play now the best country in the world, supposedly. And they were the better team on the night. But unfortunately, you know, like all sports, the better team doesn't always win. And, or the team that plays better doesn't always win. And that's what happened. And they lost that game. And they are most likely going to be eliminated from this competition. And it sucks. Because there was a lot of circumstances out of their control. I think it would have been fair if they had been given 48 hours, even a full 24 hours after the match before being forced to play the last 50 minutes against Finland. I think that that's just a decision that has really affected this entire competition and will continue to. Anyways, so Denmark lost to Belgium. Then there was Finland versus Russia. Russia scored 1. Finland scored 0. So at this point in Group B, Belgium has for sure gone through. They will go to the knockout stages. The rankings are Belgium, Russia, Finland, Denmark. And Denmark play Russia as their final match. There is a slim chance that if they beat Russia, they might be able to go through. It would probably be in 3rd place, so they'll need a bit of luck, but there's a slim chance. I personally wouldn't hold my breath, but it could happen. Finland play against Belgium. Because Belgium's already through, they might rotate their players a bit to give some of their top players a break, which means that Finland have a chance, a better chance than they might have if they played Belgium on the first night. So we will see what happens in Group B regarding 2, 3, and 4, but we'll see. We'll see. I just think that group is really controversial right now because of everything that happened with Christian Eriksen, who I am very happy is recovered and able to recuperate with his family at home right now. I believe also that he is having an implant put in to help monitor his heart. Okay, now Group C is Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia. Ukraine played North Macedonia and won 2-1. So I don't really have anything to add about that, honestly. Netherlands played Austria and won 2-0. Now, to be perfectly honest here, this is the only match I haven't watched. I think my husband returned home from an appointment and I just spent the time talking to him or something like that. Anyways, I haven't watched the match yet. I intend to, but when I get a chance. Sorry. So at this point, the Netherlands have for sure qualified. They are on to the next round. Then the rankings below that are Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia. Ukraine and Austria both have 3 points. The final match is Ukraine versus Austria, and then North Macedonia versus the Netherlands. So the outcome of Ukraine versus Austria will probably determine which one goes through. So, let's see, looking at this, Ukraine seemed to struggle more against North Macedonia, so I would say maybe a slight favorite to Austria, but it could go either way. So that one will be an interesting game to watch. And North Macedonia has 0 points. I don't know if they're officially already out of the tournament, but I don't know that there's really a way that they can make it through. So, Group D, England, Croatia, Scotland, and the Czech Republic. This is where things got interesting. So, both of these matches end in draws. Croatia versus the Czech Republic and England versus Scotland. Now, I'm basically going to ignore Croatia versus the Czech Republic. It was an interesting game, but I don't really have anything to say. Scotland versus England. This is where things are spicy because, apparently, well, not apparently, it's known, but Scotland versus England is the very first international soccer game that ever happened, all the way back in 1872. The teams have met about 150 times since then, which is crazy. It is apparently the oldest rivalry in the history of this sport. They used to play against each other every year, but they stopped doing that in 1989. They are just, apparently they have an intense hate for each other, which I did not realize, but it was intense. Of all the matches I've watched, this is the only one, and I hope it will be the only one, where fans booed during each other's national anthems. And I don't personally think that that's acceptable. National anthem should be left alone. Even if you don't like the other country, just be quiet. Just be quiet for a minute and let them represent their national anthem. So I don't like that. Scotland's national anthem was played first, so you could say the English supporters started it. I am partial to Scotland, and basically my dad supports England, and so I don't support England. Plus, going beyond that, being a supporter of Germany and having to listen to English commentary, they are very biased towards England, which made me kind of antagonistic against England, because their commentators are just pretty arrogant and very anti-Germany, and it gets super annoying. So I've just basically not liked the English national team for, like, I don't know, 11, 12 years now, and so I was on Scotland's side, and England supporters started the booing first of the national anthems. Granted, it's because Scotland's was played first, so who knows, Scotland might have booed theirs first if it had been played the other way. But anyways, I just don't think it's appropriate. But also, this game ended 0-0, which is the first time that that's happened in Wembley. I think they played there like 4 times before or something like that. But anyways, first time that that's happened. And in my opinion, Scotland were the better team. They had more shots. In my opinion, they wanted it more. They might have been playing a bit for a draw. A draw would keep them in the competition. They could not have a loss, but it was clear that they wanted it more. And England were kind of abysmal, in my opinion. Again, they're tournament favorites, and I just could not see that. I could not see that team being a winner. I saw some funny pictures and stuff on social media. In England, they always say, for the tournaments, that it's coming home. Like, the trophy's coming home. It's finally coming home. And, I saw this picture someone had taken of his, like, Fitbit or something that displays messages. And it was a message from his dad. And it said, it's not coming home. And to be fair, based on that performance, it shouldn't. I really do think, and I'm hoping I'm not being biased, but I really do think that Scotland were the better team that night. And yeah, that's just my opinion. I think they would have deserved a win. They had several really good opportunities that didn't get scored. So that's the way it goes in this sport. But I had some other thoughts about that. Oh yes, the man of the match in this game, and I've just mind blanked on his name. It's still gone. I might think of it in a minute. It's a Scottish player. Is it Bobby something? I wish I hadn't blanked on his name. Billy Gilmore. Billy Gilmore. Now this is an impressive young man. In his very first FA Cup as a starter, he won man of the match. His very first game as a starter in the British Premier League, he won man of the match. His very first game as a starter in the Champions League, he won man of the match. And now, his very first game as a starter for the Scottish national team, he won man of the match. And that is so impressive. That is really, I think it's unheard of. I don't know if anything like that has happened before. To win 4 man of the matches on your first games, that is super, super impressive. And he had a fantastic game, and he did Scotland proud. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Scotland. Unfortunately, right now they are bottom of the group. But this is a group where it is all going to come down to the final match for all the teams. No one has already qualified. So you've got the Czech Republic and England both have 4 points. They've both won 1 and drawn 1. So they have 4 points. I think the Czech Republic is ahead based off of goal differential in the rankings. So it's Czech Republic, England. Croatia and Scotland both have 1 point. And so Scotland is below because they have the bigger goal differential. They have a -2. So Scotland's final match is against Croatia. So the bottom 2 teams are duking it out. But in some ways, that's a little helpful for them because there is a chance that the winner will score 4 based off they might be able to overtake second place. I don't think they can overtake first. No. They can't overtake first because regardless of what happens, either England or the Czech Republic will get either 3 points or 1 point, which puts them out of reach of Croatia and Scotland. But there is still a chance. There's still a chance for Scotland, which is what I'm hoping for. My predictions for that group was England, Scotland, Croatia, and the Czech Republic. That's not going to happen. But there's a chance for Scotland. And I really am hopeful that they go through. I would love to watch more of their matches in the future, hoping they don't come up against Germany. So, yeah, that group is really exciting. And then we get to Group E. This is the S group, so it's Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia. I'm pretty sure that Sweden will go through regardless of the outcomes of any of the matches. But I didn't get that off FIFA's website because they were the last game of the day, so I just didn't check the website when I was updating this. So, so that's a guess. But I think that they for sure can't get lower than second place. But again, I could be wrong. So, Sweden managed to beat Slovakia, which gives them 4 points. And then Spain played Poland, and Poland held on for a draw. So Spain has drawn both of their games. Sweden held them to a draw. Now Poland held them to a draw, which tells me that other countries have figured out Spain's playing style and they need to work on that, because otherwise they're going to not go far into the tournament, which I'm fine with because I don't like Spain. This is entirely due to the fact that Germany has lost against Spain and have been called better than Germany, and so I have a rivalry against them based on that. Most of my rivalries in soccer are based either on things commentators say, which make me then dislike their national team, or it's based off of the fact that they've ranked higher than Germany, and so now they have to be despised. Yeah, that's the entirety of my reasoning. Who I root for also usually depends on what's going to better things for Germany. So I am number one first a German supporter. So yeah. I don't really have much to say about these. Sorry, excuse me. About these matches. I find Spain a bit boring to watch. I did watch their match. It just didn't really captivate me until the last about 15 minutes when they decided to try to push more. But I watched them, so no real thoughts there. Now we have Group F, the group of death, which is where naturally Germany is, because I feel like in every major tournament they're always in the group of death. So here we are again in the group of death. And this is Hungary, Portugal, France, and Germany. As a reminder, France are ranked number 2 in the world, Portugal are ranked number 5 in the world, Germany is number 12, and so, I think Hungary's in the 30s, so, I do not think that there is any reason why 3 such highly ranked countries should all be in the same group, but they are. So, again, France won the last World Cup. Portugal won the last Euros, and Germany won the World Cup before that. Why these 3 countries are in the same group and not spread out amongst all the other countries is just really bad luck of the draw, which somehow Germany always seems to get, which, call me conspiracy theorist, but I think things are rigged. I don't know, I go back and forth between thinking things are rigged and not, but I think that they rig it sometimes, and Germany gets the short end of that stick, so that they can create more drama, because drama sells, and they're all in it for the money. That's just my opinion. Anyways, so we had 2 super interesting games today. First was Hungary versus France, and I thought there's no way that this goes any way than France slaughtering them, basically. Wrong. Super wrong. Hungary were fighters, super fighters, and they managed to tie France 1-1. As a matter of fact, if I'm recalling correctly, because this was like 6 a.m. or not, was it 6? Yeah, it was 6. This was the very first game. I think Hungary scored first. They did. And then France had to tie. And Hungary put in a good performance, which again brings up the fact France are ranked number 2, and this was not a number 2 in the whole world game. You did not show that quality. And again, in their first game versus Germany, Germany scored an own goal, and that's the only goal that was scored. France did not, well, yes, they did put in a better performance than Germany. It's not to the quality where they're the number 2 country in the world. I've just been really disappointed in both Belgium and France, who are 1 and 2. I don't think that their performances have justified their rankings, and we'll see what happens, but I would not be surprised if somewhere in the knockout stages they got knocked out. If you're almost taken out by Hungary, not the greatest. Again, they're ranked in the, 35 in the world. So, while that's not the worst ranking in this whole tournament, it's not up there either. Then Germany and Portugal played, and Germany showed up. They showed up, which was so good to see. It was clear that they wanted this, which is something that is sometimes lacking in Germany's play, and is frustrating as a fan. Sometimes you feel like they don't care if they don't win, and some of that is just players being decent at hiding their emotions, but they showed up and wanted it. And my sister said that, again, she was in an even bigger city than the one she lives at. She's visiting her brother-in-law today or this weekend. But she said, again, there was no indication that there was a match playing. But as Germany started to score goals, she started to hear people cheering. And I think that that's because people didn't want to admit that they were still watching and rooting for their team when they're mad at their team, because they've been putting in not great performances for the last few years. And as they went to score more goals, people just got louder and more enthusiastic. And the game ended up 4 for Germany and 2 for Portugal. Now, as an interesting kind of note, if you haven't watched soccer and you want a game to maybe try to get into it, I would recommend this game, because there were goals, 4-2, and that's not even including the disallowed goal that happened. Anyways, so while Germany won 4-2, Portugal scored more goals than Germany. They scored 4 goals because 2 of them were own goals. So just like in Germany's first game, their 1 conceded goal was an own goal from their defender. 2 of the goals that Portugal conceded, 2 of Germany's goals were own goals from Portugal players. There, that's a better way to word it. The first 2, as a matter of fact. So when it went, I think at one point the scoreline was 2-1. They were all scored, all 3 of them, from Portugal. And then Germany went on to score 2 more goals, and it was 4-1. And then Portugal scored 1 more goal, and it became 4-2. And I got 0 crafting done during this game. As a matter of fact, I know that the feed on my TV was a minute off, and so I spent the entire match refreshing Twitter, because I got updates about goals there before I got them on the TV. Like, we weren't even in the run of play that would lead up to a goal before I could see that a goal had been scored via Twitter. But to that end, also, that's a tricky way to watch or follow the game, because there was a couple of times where someone said that we scored or that Portugal scored, but again, that was not accurate. There was one time someone said it was 5-2 for Germany, and I was like, yes, we scored again. There wasn't even an indication at all in the run of play that would show that we were even in goal scoring opportunity when someone posted that. Like, why would you post that? And then there was another time where several people posted that it was 4-3 for Portugal, and I mean, with Portugal being 3, and there was, again, never any indication that they had scored a 3rd goal to make it that score. So I was really nervous during a lot of the game, but it was such a great game. Yeah, really, really good. And now the standings in this group, Germany's in 2nd place. It's exactly like I predicted, with France, and then Germany, and then Portugal, and then Hungary. And our final game is versus Hungary. And I know I shouldn't, like, get overly excited about that, because, you know, I don't want to lose to them. I hope we don't go into the game overconfident, because that has been our downfall at times as a German national team. People are like, you shouldn't say us, blah, 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 you're not a player, blah, 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 you're not even German, blah, blah, blah. That's my thoughts on that. So, anyways, no one is already qualified in this group. France have 4. Germany and Portugal both have 3, and Hungary has 1. And even though I think the reason that Germany are at present ahead of Portugal, because I took these rankings directly off their website, because at first I actually thought that it was Portugal in 2nd place and Germany in 3rd. But I think that they take the match versus the team versus team play into consideration first. So Germany beat Portugal, and that's why they're higher. Because they're tied, so their game versus each other gets taken into consideration. I thought what was taken into consideration first was points, and then goal differential. And then if goal differential is the same, which actually it is in this case, then it would go to who scored the most goals. I thought that's the order that they took it in, but apparently they take first in the match that they played against each other. So Germany beating Portugal is huge. It was a hugely important win for us. Our final match, like I said, is Germany versus Hungary. We need that win. We need it. We need it. We need it. And then France versus Portugal is going to be really interesting, because if Portugal were to beat France and Germany were to beat Hungary, in theory, France could then slip all the way down to 3rd place. And then you get into that question about which of the 4 teams goes through and which 2 get eliminated. I mean, this group is wide open. There's even a slim chance of Hungary qualifying if they were to beat Germany. So anything could happen in this group. It will all literally come down to that final match. And I am so super nervous because I love Germany so much as a national team. I've never actually been to the country, but I have a German nephew. His dad is German. My sister is married to a German. He was born in Germany, all that, blah, blah, blah. But I've supported the national team since before that. I've been supporting them for about 12 years now. And I'm just super obsessed and in love with the German team. I love their play style. I love the players. And that's all I really have to say about that. Is just once I form an attachment, I tend to stay really loyal to that, even in the hard, bitter times. And I formed an attachment with Germany first. That's the first country I formed an attachment with in soccer. Because I am a patriotic American. I have had to deal a couple times with a Germany versus America match, and I don't want to talk about which direction my feelings went during that. I tried to reason ways that both countries could qualify out of the group and what could possibly happen that would ensure the best for both of them, but in my heart of hearts, I was probably rooting for Germany. But I don't like to admit that to myself, so I don't know what. I hope it doesn't happen again. It's too much stress. It's a lot of stress for me. Anyways, so that is my group day 2 roundup, and this video is so super long, and I'm sorry about that. I was just really excited to share all the drama that has happened and more that is to come. I wonder why it's on Tuesday that actually there is only one match being played as opposed to Wednesday. Probably has something to do with who's going to go up against each other in the next rounds, which I haven't looked into at all because I just want to finish this phase before having to worry about potentially who our opponent will be. Fingers crossed we make it out the group. But let me just say in each pair which match I'm going to watch. Okay, so Sunday, Switzerland versus Turkey or Italy versus Wales. I'm watching that Wales game because I really want Wales to go through. Italy is already through. Oh my gosh, my husband scared the crap out of me again. What? Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Well, that's mean. He has a beverage for me. I think it's an orange frost. Yes, it is. Ooh. Anyways, okay, so Italy are already qualified, and so Wales is the second team I want in that group. So if Wales could miracle beat Italy, that would be fantastic, and I would love that. Then the next two roundup is Macedonia versus Netherlands and Ukraine versus Austria. I will probably watch the Ukraine versus Austria matchup because that match will determine who gets second place in that group. So I'm really interested to see what happens. Finland versus Belgium and Russia versus Denmark. I'll watch the Russia versus Denmark because I really am hoping that Denmark managed to pull something out of all of this. I feel so bad for their team and everything they've gone through that unless they're going up against Germany, I would probably root for Denmark in any games that go forward in this tournament. Then on Tuesday, we have Croatia versus Scotland and Czech versus England. And I will for sure be watching Croatia versus Scotland as I hope that Scotland goes through. Wednesday, the first match is Slovakia versus Spain and Sweden versus Poland. I will be watching Sweden versus Poland because Spain I don't care about at all. That's probably the match I care the least. I mean, the whole, like, groupings I care the least about on who goes through and who gets eliminated. But, hoping for the best for Sweden because I feel like strategically they have read their opponents and played for that and have done well. They are leading the group right now. So, I'll probably watch that and hope the best for Sweden. But I do like a couple players in Poland's team, so if they win, I wouldn't be heartbroken about that. Then there's the group of death matchup also on Wednesday. Portugal versus France and Germany versus Hungary. I don't think we need to question which match I will be watching Germany, but I will be studiously following the Portugal versus France scoreline because that scoreline will affect the standings in the group, and so hoping for the best. But anyways, if you're following along with the matches and you have any commentary to add, please add it below because I would love to talk to you guys about these matches as I have no one else to really talk to about them. My husband does not watch them. I am the sports fan of the family, and even then it's only soccer, and so yeah, so here's to hoping for all the best, and I will catch up with you guys in a week. Less than a week, but still. Talk to you guys later. Bye.